What's really interesting about venture design as well, as opposed to traditional business planning, is that it holds the full picture. The business model, the systems that support it, the founder and the team behind it, the emotional and energetic alignment, and the way that it connects to real people on the other end. It is holistic, but it's not fluffy. It's strategic, creative, and it's human aware.
Welcome to Everyday Innovation, your go-to podcast for enhancing your creative and entrepreneurial process. I'm Jordan DeVecchia, a multi-passionate creator entrepreneur, venture studio co-founder, and business designer and advisor. Here we live at the intersection of creativity, strategy, and personal development. Join me for inspiring conversations, actionable practices, and insight infusions designed to shift your mindset and empower you with tools and resources to create impactful ventures. Get ready to take your ideas to the next level and innovate with purpose.
Welcome back to Everyday Innovation. So, I'm really excited to do a solo episode today, all about something that I've wanted to share for a while. It's the lens that I bring to almost everything that I do, whether it's building products, advising startups, launching creative projects, and even deciding whether I want to pause or pivot. So today we're talking about venture design. I actually have it in many of my bios, and I feel like there's not really a super clear definition of what it is. There are some things that exist out there, but I would love to chat about it today and bring my perspective to it to see if it resonates with you. You've heard of things like product design, business design, service design, and even design thinking as a methodology. But venture design is a bit more holistic, and it's about intentionally designing the whole venture from strategy to systems to storytelling. And it's often how I help founders and teams move from those kind of fuzzy ideas to clear action and stay aligned along the way in multiple areas. So, this episode is for anybody building something real, like a business, creative venture, a team, a new direction, and you're wanting to do it with more clarity, adaptability, and intention. So, here's what we're going to cover today: a redefinition of what venture design actually means and how it differs from traditional planning in business, why this matters right now for anyone navigating ambiguity, pivots, or new stages of growth, a 5-phase framework that you can return to anytime you're building, pivoting, or scaling, and how to make this approach work for both your business model and the humans involved, yourself included. So, whether you're building from scratch or you're reworking something that you've already launched, this episode is designed to help you see your business through a more holistic, elevated lens. So, think of like the CEO thinking balanced with creative intuition. So, what is venture design? Like I said, we hear this word thrown around a lot: design, right? Product design, brand design, UX design, package design, everything. But we don't often talk about designing the entire venture. And that's the aspect that I really, really love to architect. While there are some existing venture design frameworks that have been around, I know that there are opportunities to evolve and add more to the conversation. And that's what I would like to do today. And I believe it's a discipline that can evolve and can take on multiple perspectives. So I believe that venture design is the practice of building businesses that are strategically sound, that are creatively driven, that are rooted in empathy, and they align with the founder or the team shaping them. It's not just a business that's like solving problems, it's solving the right problems in the right way with solutions that are sustainable, resonant, and they're flexible. So, why does it matter to design a venture? It brings you a lot of clarity as a leader. So, you make better decisions when you're grounded in purpose and priorities and a shape around your business. It reduces waste, so you stop building the things, that you don't need or you can't sustain. It builds resilience, so your business can flex with change instead of break under it, or when there's changing contexts out in the world, it can adapt and flow along with it as opposed to have a lot of resistance and obstacles to overcome. And it invites alignment, whether it's with your audience, your team, and most importantly, with you as the founder or leader. So, how do you start designing in this way? Or how do you approach venture design? I'm going to walk through a framework that I use to facilitate innovation, which has come from years of building, advising, and experimenting. It's actually something that I've had to redefine recently because I've used many frameworks and methodologies under this, but I've had to take it all the way up to the highest level to pieces that encompass that, whether we're talking about a canvas or any other framework that would fall under this. So, this is the highest level process I return to again and again. So, whether it's me building something myself, supporting founders in the studio, or advising some teams that are navigating complexity, it really does return to these five phases. You're not really supposed to think of it as like a step by step playbook. It's more of a cycle that you can keep returning to. So, you can move through it again and again, and you may be in different phases at different times. So, before we get into each one, I want to list the five phases that I use in high level venture design. So, they are clarify, architect, validate, activate, and integrate. So, again, clarify, architect, validate, activate, and integrate. Okay, so you want to walk through them? Okay, cool. So, phase one is clarify. So, we always want to start with truth, whether it's strategic or personal, right? So, some questions that you can frame around this particular section, because I want this to be applicable not just to business, but also to creative ventures, even just designing around what you're doing with a nonprofit, whatever it might be. I want these questions to help you frame each of these phases. So, what are you actually building and why now? What does success look like and feel like in this season? How do your strengths, your energy, and motivations line up with the business you're shaping? So that's bringing in your perspective, your team's perspective, your cultural perspective. What's happening in your market, in outside culture, or in tech that's influencing the environment of your business, right? So that's the internal and also the external. So once you're clear, that next step is to give that clarity structure. So there's many more questions you can ask there. Of course, I'll add some more in if you look up everydayinnovation.io and you look in the newsletter or the blog post, there'll be more there. So that's just a quick note for each of these. So all these will be listed. So if you're listening or watching this, don't worry too much about all these questions. I will have them listed out for you. Okay, so we went clarify, right? What's next? Architect. Design the system that can support your ambition. So you want to choose tools and workflows that help you execute and not just look busy. So you want to have the systems that are scalable, but don't overcomplicate your current phase. What I see often are people that desire to scale early, right? So you build the systems under it to make sure that as things get bigger, you have the structure below it, which is a very admirable thing to do. But sometimes there is, and I'm guilty of it as well, a sense there's an overcomplication. So you're not even getting to the next phase yet before you can build in more of those systems. To have something, even if it's just the most simple system that is shows that there's structure and architecture that you can build upon can be enough. So it really depends on the context of your business, but don't overcomplicate it, especially when you're in an early phase or you're just experimenting. So that's just a word of advice. But the systems, something should be there, even if it is a system of how you operate and how you go through your process, right? The next thing is set cultural cues now, even if it's just you, how you lead, how you communicate, how you make decisions. So, whether it's this venture, a full on business, a product launch, whatever it is, you want to come from a place of leadership, even if you're not the leader on it, right? How will you communicate, make decisions? So, having those cultural cues is just as much part of the architecture as the systems themselves. And then map out your resources, your time, your capital, your capabilities, your energy. I have an activity flow journal that I will put in here, but I really care about managing energy, especially when you're working with humans. Now more than ever, with all the technical capabilities, we need to make sure that our energy is being utilized as much as any other resource in an efficient, sustainable way. So after this, you want to test your ideas against reality. So clarify, then architect. Next is validate. So you want to make it real enough to learn from. So, what you want to do is prototype quickly. So, this could be a landing page, a pitch, a pilot, whatever helps you learn fast. It could be a post on social media. There are so many different ways that we can test and get information in real time without having to put too much effort into it and without diluting your brand as well. So, that's another piece that I see a lot of conversation around. What do I put out there that is non-dilutive but at the same time still gets me the answers that I need? Because sometimes you need to iterate things quickly, but taking too much time behind the scenes because you're afraid of how it might look is also, there's a cost benefit analysis there. But that may be something that you have to look at the culture of your company, look at your brand, and see if there are ways to test the waters in a way that feels unique to you. The main part of this is you want to talk to real people, watch what resonates, and track what confuses. So, I think a big mistake is too much is siloed when you're, especially if you're a solopreneur, even if you're working with a team, you're talking a lot amongst yourselves and not with the people who are out there. Or you're doing a lot of market research, but not in a way where you're having a two-way conversation that feels like you're getting the correct kind of feedback. And feedback matters, the source matters, of course, and you don't need to take every single piece of feedback and loop it into your process, but you do need to have those conversations with real people and making sure that they're people who would be potential buyers, investors, whoever the stakeholders are of this, true stakeholders of it that would benefit from this particular solution that you have. And then make sure to challenge your assumptions and be open to adjusting your approach. You have to be nimble and willing to pivot. You could hold on to the vision itself, but if you're not willing to pivot aspects of it, that's coming from an ego perspective and it's not actually serving the two-way conversation and relationship that you're building with your stakeholders. And remember that learning is so much more important than being right. I know a lot of perfectionists out there want to make it perfect, make it right, get validated for the work that they're doing, right? But it's so much more important to learn in the process and be a little bit wrong than to put something out that misses the mark. It might be beautiful, it may solve the problem well, but when it's not landing with the other party, you're not going to get anywhere from that. You're not going to monetize and you're not going to have the impact that you want. So with enough feedback and refinement, you can evolve that into something deeper. So that next phase is activate. So activate is really where everything comes together. It's not launching a product, it's lighting up the entire system that you've designed. It's messaging, delivery, internal workflows, and customer experience. It's where the venture starts moving forward in the real world in whatever stage it's in, even if it is version one, right? You want to roll it out with intention. You don't want to rush to scale or even perfect it right away. You want it to let it breathe in the space where it is with customers because now you've launched it, you've implemented it, you've communicated it, and now it's time to have again, it's that two-way conversation again, but now it's made real, right? You want to build an experience, not just a solution. The experience is what creates the brand perception, of course. It creates more opportunities to monetize, to sell. It's really the relationship between you and the customer, you and the investor, whatever it might be. Make it experiential. And as you're in this space, you want to explore innovation and how you monetize, package, communicate, and support it. And all of these things will help you implement that solution in a way where it lands with your people. That's why you want to test it beforehand. But when you activate it, you can have the best solution in the world. People are not just going to flock to it. You need to make sure that you're communicating it, that you're putting it in the right place, implementing it in the market, online, wherever that might be, in the spot that it's going to be most effective. And that's where you learn over time which things are effective and which things aren't. And make sure to keep your creative thinking active. Sometimes I feel like we're in the stage where you're in this creative mode and you almost burn it all out trying to make the solution, but this is where differentiation lives. When you start having those conversations, keep that creativity active for your conversations, your sales, your marketing. Of course, a lot of people assume, yes, of course you need to be creative in your marketing, your sales, but it's incredible like when you are a part of the entire process, how much there's this relief of launching something and then things start to kind of fall apart or there's a lackluster excitement when it's already out there. So just keep that creative spark alive and have more and new conversations with people in different ways. So once that offer is in motion, you want to step back and then measure how it's landing. So the last phase is integrate. So you want to, with any good decision type of innovation, right? You want to reflect, refine, and realign. Is this working for the business, for you, for your audience, for your team? You want to measure the impact, but of course, you don't want to ignore your intuition, right? You want to get the data, but then also look into yourself and see what of this as a leader is aligning, not just in the numbers, but also in the feeling. Remember, it's between people in the end as well. So there are certain things that you're going to intuit as being an expert of yourself and your business that you need to integrate into the data that goes into how we circle back in and go through that cycle again. You want to revisit the goals, the systems, and the strategy. What needs tightening and what needs to evolve? What are you doing well? Because I think a lot of people immediately want to implement and integrate and innovate. But just as much a part of the innovation is recognizing what's going well and letting that be enough for now. You don't need, they say, like, don't fix what's not broken. I think you always need to revisit it, but truly, if it's doing well, move your energy elsewhere, like, get a refill there and then bring it into the space where you can improve and you can serve and have a lot more fun with your customers, your team, etc. And integration doesn't necessarily mean you're constantly rebuilding either. You're also designing for resilience. So remember, it may be things that are changing and you're getting more information from the customers themselves, right? The tech might be changing, your general environment may be changing, and you might be looking out to different opportunities, that come from the economy or politically from the environment, from just the market itself, your competitors, whatever it might be, looking out to these opportunities there for collaboration, whatever that you're able to leverage and put back into the cycle. So remember, this framework is a loop, not a ladder. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're done, or you start from one again, go to five, and it just feels like a process of starting over every time. It's more of a loop. So you're always kind of going through these cycles at any given point. And sometimes you're doing that in different areas of your business as well. And that's something, or different products, right? So this can be miniaturized into different areas and utilized, but venture design in and of itself, you can think from the highest level that you can think through a lot of these strategies in this way. And the reason why it works is because it's not linear. Every launch, every new offer, every pivot is a chance to come back, to clarify, to re architect, to validate again, to activate it differently, to integrate more intentionally. It's a rhythm that keeps you from getting stuck in guesswork or burnout and helps you build in a way that actually fits, that fits your business, that fits the market, that fits your team, you as a leader, and allows you to create more impact and utilize your energy more efficiently and your resources for your business more efficiently. What's really interesting about venture design as well, as opposed to traditional business planning, is that it holds the full picture: the business model, the systems that support it, the founder and the team behind it, the emotional and energetic alignment, and the way that it connects to real people on the other end. It is holistic, but it's not fluffy. It's strategic, creative, and it's human aware. So I want to encourage you. So in this podcast, I like to cover a lot of life and venture design. So venture design being one of the arcs, life design I find is very similar. It's just looking a little bit more from the leadership perspective, or I find like self leadership. And I have a lot of those tools available on everydayinnovation.io. If you subscribe, there are many things you can pick up throughout the podcast. There's a lot coming up, a section that is kind of a hybrid of life and venture design. And I will be covering some more things in the future. So, depending on when you're listening to this, I may have a few of these already out, but this is a two-way conversation. I want to share some potential things for you to look for out in the world. And then also, um, if you want me to create it or if it's already been created, just make sure to either let me know or check out everydayinnovation.io if I've already done it. But these are things that have been on my mind to explore under venture design as well. So of course, a business model canvas or a revenue design map. Many of us are familiar with the business model canvas. I have revamped it a bit. I haven't released it yet. There are certain things that are with the studio, certain things that I do on my own. So I'm feeling out the audience to see how I want it to be used. But I use a revised kind of business model canvas often for innovation that I feel is a bit, again, more holistic, more close to the venture design model that I was explaining. Go to market trackers to test traction in low risk ways. There are many of them out there, but if there is something that you're looking for or you don't see it for your type of business, let me know. A founder venture fit check in. So that could be early stage. So when you're ideating or even post launch, right? So how is this fitting? How is this fitting with the team as well, right? Founder venture fit is something I care a lot about, and even founder market fit as opposed to just product market fit. I do think that we are now a lot more embedded in our businesses, and it is important to, especially in the early stages, to make sure that there's a lot of alignment there because that sets up a cultural aspect, right? That can evolve, of course, over time, but it is something that you want to check in on often because, again, we're humans that are running the business, and the humanness of us is going to be even more important, especially in the age of AI and a cultural operating system. So for how you work and not just what you build, because your processes, the way that you do things, are just as important as the things themselves. I say this all the time in everyday innovation. It's really that growth mindset in action in different areas of life. So I really believe that to be the best strategist, the best creator you can be, you have to take ownership over your process. No one can tell you exactly how to do it. You have to design it yourself. But there are many, many resources and tools out there, including this podcast and just the Everyday Innovation Innovator OS system that I just want to build out over time to help you do that and to empower you in that way. And then even just a lightweight prototyping or experiment sheet. If that's something that you're interested in, please let me know. There are many different types of those out there, but I think that sometimes you just want to think like a scientist, you want to have your scientific method and have a space to keep going back to so you don't have to overthink what to do, right? You design your way of doing it, you can keep testing it and reflect effectively. So make sure to subscribe to everydayinnovation.io for more resources and check the show notes there. I like to add a lot more things beyond just the podcast itself or this video itself. There are some guides. There's so much that come from the guests on here as well. So make sure to look at those. And just kind of as an advisory note too. So if you're looking through the resources, there's some things that are they're not there yet, please reach out to me. And also, I still advise. So, this is the kind of work that I do with embedded venture teams now, 360 brands, and creative entrepreneurs at pivot points. So, I'm doing a lot of this with the studio. We're in early days. We're kind of doing that in our own space right now, but I still do some advisory one on one. I've done voice note advisory before too, which is fun and asynchronous. So, just if you want to navigate complexity or have a little bit of more structure behind your particular process and venture and work on that venture design process, I am here for you and I can help you do that. I've helped people architect offers and venture launches from a design and strategic perspective, not so much tactical. There's a lot of great information out there, but I am here to help you do that and select the best tactical information as well. So if you want a little bit more strategic clarity and creative flexibility, please reach out. You can even email hello@everydayinnovation.io or please DM me on any of the platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you like to be active. So just as a recap, you don't need to build everything at once. You just need a process that helps you navigate uncertainty with intention. And venture design does that from a very holistic perspective in the business side, the expression of your impact through entrepreneurship. Venture design helps you lead with vision, operate with strategy, adapt with creativity, and build something aligned from the inside out. So, whenever things feel foggy, please come back to this. It's a blueprint and a reset. And I'm excited to get into more venture design frameworks alongside the life design so that you can be a better leader and a better startup creator, a better strategist, and create incredible things that I'm so excited to see. So, look forward to chatting with you in the next episode. Please reach out and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, especially on YouTube and on Spotify as well.